Yeah, so hello them beautiful and lovely gamers. My name is Jonal again. Sorry for the little bit 3 day delay there. In between videos, I'm sitting with assignments after my 2 week absence from university, so I'm still trying to kind of catch up with that and so on. So today we're talking about Brigitte, and we're talking especially about the fact that a lot of people are constantly spamming that she's overpowered. It feels kind of like how Moira was when Moira was introduced and before Brigitte came, how everyone would call Moira broken, overpowered, and trash hero. And while there's still some of that, I want to talk about why Brigitte is not as overpowered as she is. And a lot of people is like, delete her from the game. If you do that, that would be much better. So I want to take a look at why Brigitte is not actually that overpowered as a lot of people think. She's strong, and how you can play against her, can win against her. Of course, if you play her correctly yourself, you can do incredible things if you know what you're doing. And also why she's very good for the pro scene, for pro play and higher tier play and so on, because she brings something into that. So that's what we're going to talk about. As always, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Normally, not this Friday, but normally on Fridays, I stream from around 6 p.m. Norwegian time. So if you're interested in getting help or just seeing me play, or when I do coaching on there or map reviews and when I break down team composition and so on, of course, you can go check that out. Link to my Twitch down in the description. And if you're interested in private coaching, hit me up with Discord. It costs €50 for a 2-hour session. So if you want to improve, then that's where to go. Now, so the whole thing about Brigitte that is of course that you bring something that you never ever could have beforehand. So if you think pro play, if you think team composition, you think normally, you have, let's say, 2 tanks, 2 DPS, and 2 supports. It's a very standard 2-2-2 team composition. Now, what normally would happen is that your tanks, and this is the important thing, your tank and your main group, the tanks kind of build up what is called your main group. Let's say Ryan Sari, right? Ryan Sari is then what is your core main group, and your players, your DPS and so on will normally be playing around that main group. And they will be pushing, and their job is to create space. And what is space? Well, space is room. And essentially they do that by going to an area and denying that area, right? Essentially saying, okay, you want to go here, you'll take a lot down from the tanks. The problem arises from that. Let's say you play Dive and the enemy team plays Ryan Saria, right? So you're Winston Diva versus Ryan Saria. Who has the strongest main group? Well, of course it's Ryan Saria in most situations. A lot of people say, well, Ryan Saria. If you send the Winston and the Diva to clash against the Ryan Saria will push the Winston Diva back, right? They will deny them space. What that does is that the enemy team has more frontline pressure. They have a stronger main group. Meaning, that's why Dive is what Dive is, that you play around the enemy's main group, because even though the Ryan Saria is stronger than the Dive tanks move around and over the tanks of the Death Ball, and that is kind of how you look at that. But they still have a stronger main group. The introduction of Brigitte strengthens, or what I like to call secures, the main group, because in theory, if you play triple tank against, let's say, 2 tanks, right? Now you play triple tank, triple support, or quad tanks, 2 supports, right? And you rush past the enemy. Even if you're playing Ryan Saria and they're playing triple tank, a lot of time they can rush past you, they can run into you, and they have so much HP and sustain that it doesn't matter that you're staying there. They can push you back and so on, and therefore they have again a stronger main group. The introduction of Brigitte secures your main group. The Winston and a Diva with a Brigitte, those 3 is stronger than a Ryan Saria because you have stun. And the stun amplifies everything. It amplifies the fact that you can stun someone, and you can actually stun one of the tanks and push the other away. Again, then removing, for example, the off tank from the enemy team's main tank. Again, you can stun them, so there's a reduced damage output. You can do that every 6 seconds. So you can stun, do a lot of damage. No time, then you will have an HP advantage and can push their tanks back. And worst case scenario, you'll just move a little bit further back, stun them again, and so on, so on, so on. On top of that, a stun amplifies the damage output for the rest of your team. So it amplifies the DPS output if it's focused enough. For example, as Senjata, I mark the Ryan, my Brigitte stuns him, and I'm a Senjata, I'm spamming the shield anyway, so as soon as the stun comes up, he get hit by 1-2 shots, right, from my left click, maybe even 3 shots, right, and it goes the same for every main group, every DPS in the main group that anyone was shooting at the shield. A lot of time in pro play or in higher tier teams, also they call the stun, so at that point, when you hear stun, or, I'm stunning in 2, I'm stunning in 2, then your Widowmaker, for example, can aim at the Reinhardt's head. As soon as the stun comes out, boom, that's 300 damage. So a Brigitte stun is incredibly powerful, and you could think, oh, well, we have something like a McCree, why don't we just do that with a McCree? And the fact is that the Brigitte is good at staying up there. Her frail will penetrate shields, she has insta burst for her tank, so again, you have a healing advantage to a certain extent. You have your own shield that you can kind of protect yourself with. You have as a damage, and you have an AoE heal that also sustains you and the people around you as long as you constantly deal damage. And that is why Brigitte is strong, very interesting for pro play, because you can play it with a Brigitte, and at that point you will say, okay, cool, we play with break, meaning we are putting a stronger emphasis on a stronger main group, but without running a lot of tanks. And of course, you have also drawbacks from this, and you always get a drawback. So let's say that we play 2-2-2, but we won't break. Okay, cool, then we will have less sustain because we will only be playing Ana. A lot of time what will happen, I see a lot of teams, they swap out one of the DPSs for the Brigitte. And at that point, okay, you swapped out one of the DPSs, meaning you have less damage output, meaning the enemies can play the fact that you're playing with less damage output if they don't want to play Brigitte themselves, right? Or if you play with only one support, and they play dive, you have a stronger main group, you have a much stronger main group than our dive team, but our dive team can maybe play around you, right? Poke you down, poke you low, and so on, and you only get one support hero, which can be very, very quickly disturbed by a Tracer. And at that point, you gotta ask, if a Tracer goes for the Ana, you have Ana, Brig as your healers, right? And then you have 2 DPS and then you have 2 tanks. If you play the Brig up in the front line, my Tracer goes for your Ana. So you, of course, you put your Brig close to your Ana, but then you lose him in the main group. And you can't put the Ana up in the main group because at that point she's diveable, right? So it makes an interesting play in higher tiers with how she's implemented into there. Now let's talk competitive play, so solo queue ranked, essentially, or duo, whatever, I don't care what you're doing, but let's talk about Brigitte there. A lot of people are mad about it, and if you play main tank, I can understand your frustration, because a main tank, Brig is irritating to play against. She definitely is. She stuns you, she knocks you back. There's not much you can do without your own Brigitte and so on. It's very easy to get bullied around. You might have to play Winston. Playing Winston against it is an easy way, because as a Winston, you can play a little bit similar to what you can do with a lot of DPSs. And how do you play it as a DPS? Well, it's fairly simple, and I've been trying to say this so many times on my channel. The Brigitte is scary because she has a stun. That's the only thing that's scary about her. Of course, yeah, she has a shield, she's very sustainable herself, making her great to as a duel, because again, but why is that? That's because she can stun you, and if you survive somehow, and you don't kill her within those 6 seconds, she stuns you again. That's a scary part. She can burst you with over 150. I think it's a little bit around 150 with ease in one shot burst, and therefore a Brigitte is very, very, very good at close range. She's almost like a Reaper. If she closes the gap to you, you're fucked. Right? The only difference is that you can't evade it. Like, if I'm Tracer and I see the Reaper, he goes up to me, I can blink out of it. He probably won't one-shot me. A lot of time I can blink out with some damage. Brick stuns me, I'm dead. So with Genji, she stuns me, a lot of time I'm dead because of the shot, the damage from the rest of her team will destroy me. So, you make sure you don't close that she doesn't get to close the gap. And if she doesn't close the gap, then she's easy, because you can choke out a Brigitte very easily, because again, she doesn't have the reach to get to you. She can throw her rocket flail at you. That's about what she can do. And that's not very scary. So while she secures the main group and messes with your main tank, you as a DPS and as a support player, if you can keep the distance, there isn't that much you can do. And especially for DPS players, it's easier. Especially for the 2 people that I hear complain about more. I hear Genjis and I hear Tracers hate on it the most. These 2 should be the easiest one to keep the distance. What it does is, again, if she's standing in a main group, you can't hard dive the main group, and that's a problem for you. But everything around it is weak. They will either be down a healer, or down a support, or down a tank, because they pick Brig. They will be down one of those that will be doing their primary job. So therefore, you now know, okay, cool, we can play it around that. As a Genji, you have left clicks that can focus long range on people if they are messing with you. You can poke the tanks. She can't play high ground. You can play high ground. With Tracer, you can go for the far back lines. You can run away from the Brigitte. You have pulse bomb in, which is now you can try to blink on and stick her. And if she's spending a lot of time running after you, you still have range. Right? I've seen a lot of Brigitte chase, especially like I coached a platinum Genji. Very, looks like he's gonna hit diamond very soon because he's improving a lot. Different story. That guy, he gets chased a lot by Brigittes. Brigittes in plat, for example, they run after him. At that point, it's like, that's good. You can poke her shield though, and the same you can do with the Tracer. Her shield isn't that weak. If she wanna run after you with the shield up so she doesn't take poke damage, then her shield will break. As soon as it's down, she's easy target. She's free mid. You can just stay out of her range. A lot of time you can also dodge the stun by jumping over it, or wall climbing over it, dashing up over it, or blinking out of its range, because it's very predictable, especially in lower healers, when they're gonna burn that stun, since they will be holding their shield and kind of aiming it in on you. and you can really easily counter it by running around them. And if worst case scenario, we don't focus the break, we focus everyone else then the break and make her useless, right? Don't fight to her advantage and fighting her up close and taking those really quick burst fights like you would do against a Jonal, where you just like hard engage on him and commit to him. Against a break, you gotta play a little bit more the long game and choke her out, if that's possible. And that's normally how you wanna do it. If she hard engages your team and you play creep, flash her or shield and headshot her twice. Or headshot her once and try the body shot. That way, she took so much damage, back off my tanks, essentially, right? You can hard stun. If she goes in for stuns, a lot of times they overextend, then they're very easily punished, right? There's so many things you can do to play Brigitte. Just play around her. It's different with Moira. Moira is much scarier because she has a range to get to constantly. And it's constantly lock on with consistent damage, and she has healing and she has her orb and she can fade to get away. Brig doesn't have that range. She has one stun that she's very, very good at, and that's very, very scary. But if you play around it, it's not that much of a problem. And of course, as I said, she is strong if she gets close to you. That's her specialty. That's what she's good at. If she gets close to you, she can absolutely destroy you. But you gotta pressure her. If she overextends alone, deal damage to her, kite around her, surround her, make her weak, right? And you can do that with most heroes in the game can do this to her. And the few that come, for example, a Reaper, who in theory needs to be in her stun range to deal with her, a lot of time he can Ray Thrown to iframe or immune himself against the stun and so on. So while she is strong, and she's definitely something you should be scared of, on the map you should be scared of the Brigitte, you should be scared to not go into her range and not let her stun you at moments where you know you will be killed. That also goes for a tank and a main tank, and for main tank there's a whole different way of playing it where that I'm not going to cover in this video. But don't make her go into that range. Play around her, choke her out, look for her overextended, which a lot of them do, and they're very, very killable, and then pressure her, but a lot of time kill the team around her, because they will have weaknesses. Look at the team composition and kill the team around the Brigitte, because alone she doesn't have the damage to follow up. She doesn't have that much damage. She has one burst and a stun, and the stun is the main thing of her core. And a lot of time you can also punish her if she burns that stun. If you wasted it, she's very, very killable for a lot of heroes. Now that's what I want to say, and I know I'm gonna get some hate down in the comment section and people disliking the video and say that I don't know what I'm talking about. Brigitte is overpowered, and she's the reason that you're stuck in the elo that you is and you can't play Genji anymore. But I've been coaching so many Genjis lately that has this problem, and as soon as I go over this, most of them just seems to be fine with it. They're like, okay, cool, I understand it, and they played a billion times better against it. Because especially towards the lower elos and, well, away from the higher elos, so away from like high diamond masters and GM and so on, where the Brigs are becoming very, very too fast in IQ. From besides those ranges, it's much easier to play around a Brigitte, because they are so easy to read. They are so bad in positioning. They actually miss stuns and skill shots and so on. So yeah, I hope this helps a little bit, guys. Besides that, thank you guys for the support. Please take care of yourselves, stay positive. I love you guys very much. And as always, guys, my name has been Jonal, and keep the enemy in your crosshair.